We now move on to our next session, which is on keeping companies competitive with technology innovation, and our keynote speaker is Mr. Andy Karandikar, Senior Director, Cloud Pre-Sales, VMware, Asia Pacific and Japan. Let me take this opportunity to introduce him to all of you. For VMware APJ, Andy leads the technical pre-sales or systems engineering cloud team covering VMware Cloud and VMware Cloud Provider program. He is based in Singapore and has over 23 years of experience in US and Asia in various field leadership and product management roles. He was a co-founder of a startup in the US and was at Red Hat for over a decade. He is the author of 4 business method and technology US patents. He holds MBA and engineering degrees from UNC Chapel Hill and Mumbai University, respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Andy Karandikar for his address.
Thank you. Thank you for the welcome. I guess a few people must have guessed Andy is not my real name. Anybody wants to take a guess? Anybody else? It's Aniruddha. Aniruddha and Karandikar are 2 long names, so one of them had to become short when I went to the US. It's my joy and privilege to be here to help support NetMagic, who is a strategic partner, strategic cloud partner for VMware in India. Very pleased to be here. I got here at 4 in the morning and it was very serene, very quiet, beautiful place. Thank you. What I plan to cover today is give you a little bit of a view of VMware's vision in the cloud space and how that is helping customers drive digital transformation, especially with partners like NetMagic. Now, you probably have seen various versions of this slide, which is about technology is transforming every industry. It's not just manufacturing, it's not just telco, not just banking, financial, even industries like agriculture, where you see precision devices and drones being used to help them drive changes, significant changes in the industry through data analytics. But I want to look back. I'm going to flash some logos on the screen here, and as you look at them, think in your mind what do you think of these? What do you think of these names? Uber, Airbnb, Facebook, Alibaba, Netflix, Amazon, Google, Twitter. What comes to your mind? Most of them are startup companies. They don't own any assets. Very well said. Very well said. Uber is a taxi service, owns no cars. Airbnb is in the accommodation business, owns no real estate. Facebook, media company, owns no, doesn't create its own content. And the list goes on and on, right? These companies have been able to disrupt these markets, though, in a phenomenal way. And one of the things that we hear, and when CIOs and COOs and CEOs reflect back and look at how can I get as agile as these companies? How can I be able to change with the market or defend my industry in an effective way? If you think about what these companies do in the background, they ruthlessly automate. Their environments are all software driven and they ruthlessly automate what they do. Many of them are able to roll out new applications not in months, not in weeks, in days. In fact, putting out software releases in hours, in matter of hours, which is very, very powerful. Now, that doesn't mean that every software company or every company, whether it's a software company or not, needs to get there. but there's a lot to learn from these companies. And the story that I'm about to tell is what is VMware helping companies get to that level of agility at your own pace by taking a lot of the best practices from these mega hyperscalers who are driving innovation at a fantastic pace in a form that becomes consumable to your organization in a way that is relevant to your pace, something that you can consume without throwing away all the practices and the foundations that you have built over the years at a significant pace. And this is essentially the cloud journey and to driving digital transformation, which ultimately should give you a competitive advantage. So let's look back at, can I get a quick raise of hands who is a VMware customer? Or maybe I should ask who is not a VMware customer in the room. Probably have a good bunch of VMware customers, and thank you for the support and the patronage. If you look at the history, we just completed 20 years, and we have been disrupting the market over and over again, starting right from that time that we introduced the first hypervisor, which is unhinging the operating system and the application from the hardware. That gives you the flexibility to drive consolidation ratios, drive agility of placing where your application should be without being tied to the physical hardware, right? And that was 20 years ago. In 2012, we took that vision to the next level. We saw this not just about the compute, but as well as moving to the networking and the storage. We introduced the concept of software-defined data center. And again, as I'm covering this, link this back to what I said earlier, which is the hyperscalers, the Googles, the Amazons, the LinkedIn, the Twitters. This is how they run their organization. They are essentially able to be agile by being able to put things at the software level. Now, the way they hire thousands of engineers, not every organization can do it. And this is where the story of a standardized software-defined data center comes into play, something that becomes easily consumable in your environment and builds on the investment that you have already done over the years. I don't have to call out, we have been very, very successful thanks to our customers and our partners. We are the leader in the virtualization space. We have been recognized by various analysts in various sets of product lines in the whole software-defined data center stack. This is the overall VMware vision. And in short, it's about creating a digital platform, a digital foundation that allows you to go on that journey at your own pace. It is about any cloud, any app, any device with intrinsic security. And we'll double click on a few of these in the next few slides. But if you just step back and look at the big trends, the big technology trends that are happening in the industry, which is essentially driving a lot of these changes in the last 15 years. These are the top 4, we call them the superpowers of tech, which is mobile, artificial intelligence, machine learning, edge and IoT, and of course clouds. We don't have to speak a lot about this. Mobile is about unprecedented reach, right? 50% of the world's population, even though they may not have access to any other technology, is connected on mobile phones. AI and ML, with the amount of data and the richness of algorithms, along with the compute power that is now available, AI and ML has become a reality, right? And it's not about a fiction world, but it's about making your and my life easy so that humans can focus on not repeatable tasks, but things where they add value. connecting digital and physical through IoT and edge. And this is probably going to be the next biggest wave for this generation and the next generation in terms of the capital build out that is seen through 5G, for example. And then cloud, that's the obvious one, right? With a credit card today, you can pretty much rent the power of a supercomputer for just a few $1,000s by the hour on the public cloud. Just think about this. Just think about this. Just with your own credit card, you can rent the power of a supercomputer that doesn't cost as much, right? So this unimaginable scale has become possible in the last 15 years. Now, so that is driving a lot of pressure on the IT organization as line of business wants to move fast and drive agility, and the shadow organizations get created. We did a study with The Economist, and the study came out with something which was quite telling, that in just a couple of years there will be a significant shift, a tilting point, an inflection point where 50% of the workloads globally will move on some form of a cloud, either a private cloud or a public cloud. That reality is coming very fast, right? And it's important to embrace it. And you may ask the question, or you probably think, what is driving that change? Why are customers or why are workloads moving to the cloud? When we talk to thought leaders, CIOs across the globe, line of business, the answer is very, very clear. It is not about moving to the cloud for the sake of moving cloud, not because it is sexy. People are moving to the cloud driven by applications, right? At the end of the day, it is about applications which are driving this change. And these applications largely fall into two big buckets. They are either traditional applications or applications that are born in the cloud. And there is a lot of noise around the new age applications. Has anybody seen real numbers, or looking back at your own environments, what percentage of the applications are the new age applications, born in the cloud, distributed architecture applications? Anybody wants to throw numbers? What percentage of applications are traditional applications versus modern, distributed, born in the cloud applications? There's a huge amount of noise around it, right? The reality is today it's about 5%. About 5% of the applications are these new age mobile based applications. Now, that is where the world is going, and things will grow very fast as new applications get written. They will definitely go there. However, the rest 90 to 95% of the applications that run the business have to continue to evolve and grow the business. And the practices that have been put in place over the last 20 years within your organizations about stability, security, making sure that the right compliances, privacy adherence, governance practices are put in place, those cannot be just thrown away overnight. And this is where we believe that we can significantly help organizations transition what has been driven on a solid set of VMware technologies with very credible enterprise management systems to transition through a hybrid cloud strategy. Let me skip this slide. The hybrid cloud, the way VMware defines it, consists of three things. It's essentially a combination of public, private, and edge resources or compute applications that can seamlessly move across any platform, any place that any operating model that you choose to put the applications into, with consistent infrastructure and consistent operations. It is something that you define based on what the right operational model for the service or the application is, as opposed to thinking of the cloud as a place to get to. Let me repeat, cloud is not a place to get to, it is an operational model that you choose based on what is the right alignment, what are the right set of SLAs, requirements for your service or your application. So what does this look like? In very simplistic terms, this is extending what we did 20 years ago with virtualization with vSphere ESX to software defined network, software defined storage, put that into an integrated stack with a very credible enterprise management system, what we call the software defined stack or the VMware Cloud Foundation. And with this stack, you have the choice to, it gives you the foundation to put this into any form of cloud that you need and enables you for the digital transformation. Let's take a couple of ways that you can approach this. The first one is something that we just launched in India. This was launched 2 years ago. Globally, it came to India last month, called VMware Cloud on AWS. And there is a tremendous amount of interest with our customers. This is essentially around taking your existing workloads that run on your vSphere, on your virtualized platform, and being able to put them onto AWS. So in other words, AWS infrastructure begins to look like your own data center without you having to invest in the data center. So if you wanted to take a workload and say there is excess, I need excess capacity at the end of the financial year, you just add this to your portfolio, and your existing workloads move as is live without downtime, without you having to change anything in your infrastructure, without you having to change any of your operational practices, without you having to retrain new people. The workload moves into the cloud, and if you wanted to move it back, it can move back. It's as simple as that, right? That's very, very powerful. By the way, one consistent piece of data that we hear, while it's easy to move some of the low-hanging fruits, the less mission-critical applications, when you start talking about mission-critical applications, your SAPs, your Oracles, your HR applications, your line of business applications, trying to refactor those applications for the cloud can each be $1 million of investment, each taking at least 9 months for one application, right? So with this approach, given that most of your applications are already running on VMware, that's a very easy path. There is another very exciting option that a lot of you have already been using, which is with what we call VMware Cloud Provider Partners. And NetMagic is a strategic partner for us here in India. They have been they have an excellent practice around SAP DR as a service, where they essentially take the same concept, the same SDDC stack, the software defined data center stack from VMware, and give you the option to choose to run this either within your data center, within NetMagic's data center, or a combination of public clouds, right, and manage those set of services for you. So in short, you have with the VMware strategy, you get to choose at your pace on what makes sense to you with your hybrid cloud. You choose whether you want to put things on bare metal, whether you want to put things in your own data centers, in a partner's data center, you want to put them in one or more public clouds. All of it, essentially, it gives you a consistent infrastructure without you having to rework at that level. The beauty of this is that you should be focusing less and less on looking down, the infrastructure should be a given to you. You should be able to take more and more of your energy looking up, meaning how can you be helping your businesses become more agile and supporting them in a more effective way. And with this, you have the choice of not just running this on VMs, but also containers. If containers, Kubernetes, it's all of them are first-class citizens on this platform. And it's not just about the infrastructure; it's about the next layer of the operations. How do you do patching? How do you do automation? How do you do management in an effective way? Right. So consistent infrastructure, consistent operations. This is about your people and processes. So as you manage this, you don't have to change what you have invested in, right? That investment does not go away. That investment is something that you evolve in an easy manner. And all of this while giving you a platform that is appealing to the developers who are writing the next generation applications. Something that gives them, whether they are evolving the existing traditional applications or they are moving towards the cloud native modern applications, giving them a consistent developer experience on this platform is part of this strategy and what we are able to deliver. Now think about this. When you put this picture together, this is what the global reach of the VMware cloud providers give you, right? It's global reach with local expertise, a combination of offerings from NetMagic, from other VCPP partners, from hyperscalers, your own data centers. You pick and choose how your infrastructure gets deployed, whether it's in the data centers, on the edge, in your branches. You get to choose what is the right deployment model, what is the right operational model per application, as opposed to making one choice or one decision that needs to be that forces multiple applications into one architecture. This is a big investment area for VMware. Our CEO Pat Gelsinger and our CFO have highlighted this several times about the significance of this investment, and we will continue to invest on this path. So you can be assured that you will have more and more options as VMware continues to drive innovation for our customers. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I wanted to give you just a little bit of a feel for what is it that the VCPP stack is. What does the VCPP stack contain that make it relevant for partners to offer these set of capabilities to you, right? So a VCPP like NetMagic would essentially take that SDDC stack, the software defined data center stack, and they would add additional set of capabilities from VMware, which are cloud capabilities, which give out of the box multi-tenancy, multi-site capability, usage, metering. These are things that are driven, that are offered as part of that stack, and then they can turn around and offer those services to your customers. The platform is open, extensible, and automated. It's open in terms of open APIs, SDKs, something that can be easily integrated into. It's easily extensible, so it's not locked in. You can integrate this with a variety of solutions that you may already use in your environments, whether it's Terraform, whether it's Kubernetes, whether it's Ansible. It's easily extensible to drive that automation of scale. Remember, I go back to what I said earlier. It's why are these the new age companies successful? Because they are automating ruthlessly, right? And there are lots of options available out there. We give you prescriptions, but don't tie you down to one particular set of options, right? So you get a lot of extensibility as well as ongoing automation. I just wanted to call out, there are actually hundreds of these success stories, and you're going to hear of them later in the day, so I don't want to spend too much time here. But some of the ones which have some of the customers that you see here, like JK Tyre, who focused on SAP HANA, moving onto the VMware SDDC stack, or Himalaya, who consolidated with the VMware SDDC and got tremendous value in terms of turnaround on their utilization and be able to be more responsive to their business, or Tata Steel Authority, who was able to achieve an automated DR environment, right? There are many examples that are local and global that are adopting this path. So with that, I'm going to close, and I have a few minutes if there are questions. But this is essentially what the VMware vision and the strategy looks like. We started with this story of unhinging software operating system from hardware, and thanks to you, we have been very successful with it. We are taking that journey to the next level of software defined networking with integrated security, allowing you to do micro-segmentation, right? Not just putting security on the perimeter, but essentially putting security around every application that significantly not just drives down your cost, but improves your security by several fold. It's one of the most exciting products in VMware. And then the software defined storage, right, is again not tying to black boxes, but essentially allowing you to take commodity and turn that into something that is consumable in a highly distributed environment. Significantly brings down the cost for you, significantly improves the scalability. At the same time, you do not give up enterprise capabilities, right? And this lays, because it's an integrated stack, this lays the foundation for your digital platform for the future. And I hope that you look at this and consider this for journeys within your organization. And with that, I'm happy to take a few questions. I have about three and a half minutes.
Just one question on your initial slide that you showed so many organizations,
Sure.
the initial Netflix, Uber and all that. So Uber had a $1 billion loss in India last year.
Yeah.
Paytm is struggling. Flipkart is losing money heavily, 6,000 crores a year.
Yeah.
So where do we find a balance? Because in many of the corporates, when you go with ideas, the first thing happens, where is the ROI of it? So many of these companies have not, say, focused on ROI, and they first thought to make an impact on the world. And many of these founders have left their own, say, organizations and started this setup because they wanted to build up a change. But then money is just being burnt out. So where do we find a balance? Because most of us are in corporate world, and we need money from the budgets that come from boards.
Yeah. It is a valuation question. That's a very good question. I'll offer my 2 cents, and I'm happy if anybody else has views on this. I'll add one more to it, right? Amazon has been around for more than close to 20 years. While AWS makes money, Amazon doesn't make money still, right? And yet the stock keeps growing. It's a different world. It's about the future view of the market and where the opportunities are. So the way I look at a lot of these companies is, if the market sees that they have a platform and not one product that is going to scale to capture a significant part of the market in the future, then that's what the stock market is rewarding them for, right? In that sense, Amazon only has still a single digit market share. So they have still, while they look so big, they still have way more to grow. But I'm not I'm not a valuation expert. So my views are as good as anybody else in the room here.
I mean, the
But for real companies, we do have to keep that balance, right?
The traditional way of returns on investments, IRRs, and the financing part of it would never work. And this, I'm coming after evaluating number of startups and even trying to explain. So the question is, right, internally selling it based on the conventional accounting, the P&L part of it. And yes, it said CIOs or chief innovation officers. I mean, there are two different worlds is how I would put it after a decade or a little less than that of soul searching. There are stories on this side, innovation and other things, replicating it back into the business environment, trying to find that value, right? I mean, these are two very different comparisons. It's not even apple to apple, it's probably apple to pizza comparison. So startups and trying to bring them into the conventional business, this thing. And it's been quite well documented. There are a number of good references also for this.
Yeah, good point.
So I mean, that's sort of a view, because to explain it, it would probably take a 4-hour session. So yes, the conventional financial measures would never be able to justify a drive for startup.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm out of time. Thank you for having me. We'll be around. I wanted to just do one last thing. If we can have Aniket stand up. We have Aniket from VMware. We'll be around for the next 2 days, and if you have anything, we'll be around for a discussion. Thank you for having us here.